गिद्धियां दी रानिए नी गिद्ध विच आके सानू नच के दिखा नी जरा लक लिचका गिद्धियां दी रानिए नी गिद्ध विच।
In the 80s, this was the main stretch of road where you had to advertise your gig. If your gig wasn't advertised here, your record wasn't advertised here, your album wasn't advertised here, it wouldn't be sold. This was the main stretch of road on the Soho Road. You had to advertise your gig. At the moment, it's plain, but when it used to be big, everything used to be plastered on this wall. Okay, we're here on the Soho Road with Ravi, one of the stalwarts of the 80s Bhangra phenomenon. We're just going to chat to him about how he got involved and what his interests were in the 80s. So Rav, tell me about how you got involved in the Bhangra industry. Or
at the time, obviously, being at college, and I think them were the days for a LARP and hole hole. And I think Bhangra scene was just sort of starting off. I mean, really, it had been around a long time. You had the old traditional like gang and all that. Yeah. But then the youth were just picking up on what Bhangra is about, and they started.
So what did you guys actually pick up on?
We obviously used to go to. I shouldn't really say this, but we used to go to daytimers. Used to go to go to the clubs, see what's happening. At that time, you used to have the bands playing at the clubs as well, things like that.
So the live scene was fairly big in that era.
The live scene was actually bigger than it is today, because nowadays you got DJs a lot, but then it was all just live bands and people really enjoyed what was happening with the live bands.
Yeah. It was a real party kind of atmosphere then, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was more of a party atmosphere then, because there's more and more people that used to go to that, because it wasn't around so much. I mean, today you can get every club. You got nightclubs doing Asian themes. There was no Asian themes around then, and so daytimers was the main thing. You used to get evening dudes as well, but not many people went to them. So more and Bhangra wasn't really sort of commercialized then. It wasn't really in the Western charts or anything. It was just between the Punjabis and other cultures. It was nice to be part of a Punjabi culture that was sort of just upcoming and really developing on that, because as I said, the Punjabi scene was still kept between our own cultures, and so we got involved and we started promoting gigs and things like that, and we was arranging gigs and just arranging the bands, and really it was an environment for the youth at that time to enjoy themselves within themselves.
I mean, the daytime dudes, as they're called, daytime people, they went to pot a little bit after a couple of years. People were walking out of school. There was a big hoo-ha about that.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you guys kind of react to that?
I think along with time, you just sort of tend to sort of stop gigs. I mean, there was a lot of threats around then that it's not right. And I mean, when you look back on it now, yes, you know, it wasn't right to bunk off school, bunk off college and go off to daytime gigs. And you used to get a lot of the girls come changing their suits and things like that. But even if you reflect it to what's actually the way Bhangra is today, and you reflect it to what it was then, it's very different. I mean, then the worst thing that used to happen was people used to drink, and that was it. Today you've got so many other things going on, and that's why people are more aware and more careful nowadays.
Okay, so Bhangra in that era was mainly based around the Soho Road, and you're still on the Soho Road.
We're still on the Soho Road, and Bhangra is still thriving today. More and more commercialized. I mean, you talk about, you go to India and you sort of mention where Bhangra come from, and people would say, yeah, it's, you know, so if they ask you where you're from, you say Soho Road, they will still remember the Apna Sangeet tracks, Soho Road and things like that. So it was like, this was the birthplace of Bhangra. There was London and there was Birmingham. And this is the heart, this is where the Punjabi culture, the Bhangra's theme started from, really.
My name is Tarlochan Singh Bilga. A lot of people call me TSB, the man who likes to say yes to the traditional Bhangra and pump up the culture. 1969, it was Guru Nanak's 500th anniversary, and they want the student to get together, perform a group. And then Darshan Singh Bogle, I was head teacher, he said, get the boys together, they hold a competition in the Gurdwara. So they pick up lads, 5 young lads, and they call themselves Pachangi. The Pachangi Jatha started, and that's we started from there. Then we went on the television, 1969, first Punjabi group on the television, black and white. And that day become famous straight away, 69. Influence was mainly Mohammed and that was my main. I was listening to Mohammed and Jamla Jat, the folk side. There was very Prakash Kaur, Surinder Kaur. That was my famous. It's a we got a big studio in Birmingham, was called Zella Studio. A lot of big artists already there. It's only one studio that was there. Johnny Haynes, remember? He was mainly engineer in his own studio, and he done all the work because he loved the saris. He was something different to the British market and to that studio where we was the first one to record in that Zella studio, a Punjabi song. And don't forget there was nothing like a different track. There was only 2 tracks. So we have to do a live recording. It's nothing mixing, nothing straight away live. If we do any we have to rehearse a lot of time at home, get everything ready and spot on, and within that time. So it was then he done all the pressing. We don't know about nothing but performing rights, right? Nothing about that side. 90% was the pub was owned by the British people. White people they call the English people. Now there's Indian, but there wasn't much. It was white people. Like they have a big smoke room. They call it smoke room at the back. And
what were the names of the pubs?
Yeah, there was one Red Cab. Red Cab. Funny pub. They used funniest thing about the pubs. They all Asian have their own names to it. Tuta wala pub. Tuta wala pub. Gaon wala pub. Red Cab. Vigana pub. Kabutra wala pub. That's a pigeon outside. Kabutra wala pub. Pub. They got different names to it. We say kate bhaiya kate hona bhai. Oh, Tuta wala pub bache. See, we know with the Tuta it's in Semitic.
was 1966 we started a small shop in Balsall Heath Road. There were 3 cinemas around us, and people used to watch films at the weekends and come to our shop and say, well, can we get some music from anywhere? And there wasn't any shop here. So we thought we better get in touch with EMI, who were the exclusive distributors for Indian and Pakistani music at that time. And their head office was in Hayes, and I approached them. They imported ultimately some records, and the shipment came via sea. So it took about 8 weeks from the date of order and the completion. And the first consignment, as soon as it arrived, just went like hot cakes. Okay. And people wanted more, so we had to wait another 8 to 12 weeks for the next consignment.
Okay, so when did you start to produce?
That was in 1969. We were approached by 2 local groups, Bhujangi Group and Rani Sangeet Party. This guy was this male singer, main singer, R.L. Badnaam.
Right.
And we produced their first EP records. And this was the first EP record of Rani Sangeet Party. Okay. And there were 3 songs on this. Mere Lusus Kar De Angni and Das Kyun Bedarde and Sayoni Meri Wang Tut Gayi.
राजी यार दी रज़ा दे विच रहना कुल्ली ते भावें कख ना रवे ओ नाम यार दा अल्लाह तो पहलों लैना कुल्ली ते भावें कख ना रवे ओ सानू यार चो नज़र रब आउंदा ते पुजारियां नू असीं दसीए भाई सानू मक्का है द्वारा साडे यार दा ते रब कोल असीं वसीए हज करके काबे तो किए लेना ਕੁੱਲੀ ਤੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੱਖ ਨਾ ਰਵੇ ਰਾਜ਼ੀ ਯਾਰ ਦੀ ਰਜ਼ਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਕੁੱਲੀ ਤੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੱਖ ਨਾ ਰਵੇ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਅੱਛਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਰਾਮ ਰਵਾਇਆ ਬਦਨਾਮ ਨਾਰੀ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ सन 1966 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਣਾਈ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੋਕੀ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦਾ ਲੀਡ ਸਿੰਗਰ ਹਾਂ ਪਰ ਲੀਡ ਸਿੰਗਰ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਬੜਾ ਵੀਰ ਰਾਮ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਮਹਿਤਾ ਸੀ 1966 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡਾ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਬਣਿਆ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਟੇਜਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਸਟੇਜਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਡੇ ਹੈ 26 ਜਨਵਰੀ ਜਾਂ 15 ਅਗਸਤ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਮੇਲੇ ਦਾ ਫੰਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਆਹਿਸਤਾ ਆਹਿਸਤਾ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਬਾਹਰਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਪੈਰ ਪਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਸ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਾਦੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਆਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਆਹਿਸਤਾ ਆਹਿਸਤਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਜਾਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਕੀਤੇ ਅਤੇ ਬੜਾ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ 'ਤੇ
ਉਹਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਿਲੇ
ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਮਿਲੇ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਅਸਟਰ ਰੋਡ 'ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਆਪਣੇ ਚਰਚ ਦਾ ਹਾਲ ਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਬੜਾ ਵੀਰ ਰਾਮ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਮਹਿਤਾ ਵੀ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਅਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਨਾਲ ਢੋਲਕੀ ਵਜਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਮਹਿਤੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਗਾਇਆ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਗਾਇਆ ਢੋਲਕੀ ਵੀ ਵਜਾਈ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਨੇ ਮਹਿਤਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਬਣਾ ਲਈਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਚਲੋ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਯੰਗਸਟਰ ਸੀ ਉਦੋਂ 17-18 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਏਜ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੋਨੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰੇ ਅਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀਵਾਨਾ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਅਫਰੀਕਾ ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਲੋਕ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਲੈਤੀ ਰਮਤੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਬਲੈਤੀ ਰਮਤਾ ਅਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀਵਾਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਥ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮੋਸਟਲੀ ਇੰਗਲੈਂਡ ਦੇ ਸਟੇਜਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਉਹੀ ਆ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਹਿਸਤਾ ਆਹਿਸਤਾ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਬਣਾ ਲਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਕੀ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਨਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਰੱਖੋ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਈਜ਼ੀ ਸਮਝ ਆਏ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾੜੀ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਰੱਖ ਲਓ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤੀ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਹੋ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾੜੀ ਹਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਫ਼ ਕਰੋ ਸੋ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਨਾਂ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਨਾੜੀ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਉਹੀ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਸਟਾਰ ਏਜੰਸੀ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਹੋਰ ਅਪਰੋਚ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਹੋਰ ਗੀਤ ਕੱਢੋ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਛ ਅਰਸਾ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟਾ EP ਆਇਆ ਸੀ ਉਹ 'ਚ ਗੀਤ ਸੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਲੁੱਸ ਕਰ ਦਿਆਂਗੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਕੁਰਤੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਤਾਂ ਜਵਾਨੀ ਚੋਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਔਰ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਗੀਤ ਨੇ ਵਾਕਈ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਧੁੰਮਾਂ ਪਾਈਆਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਇਹਦੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੋਈ ਇਸ ਗੀਤ ਦੀ ਔਰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਸੰਦ ਕੀਤਾ ਔਰ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੀਤ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਆਮ ਮਹਿਫਲ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਲੋਕੀ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਵੀ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਕ ਐਲਬਮ ਹੋਰ ਆਈ ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਸੀ ਮੈਮਰੀ ਆਫ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਉਹ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਗੀਤ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਲਬਮ ਹੋਰ ਆਈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰੀ ਕਵਾਲੀ ਸੀ ਰਾਜ਼ੀ ਯਾਰ ਦੀ ਰਜ਼ਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਕੁੱਲੀ ਤੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੱਖ ਨਾ ਰਵੇ ਨਾਮ ਯਾਰ ਦਾ ਅੱਲਾ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਕੁੱਲੀ ਤੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕੱਖ ਨਾ ਰਵੇ ਹਰਦੇਵ ਦਲਗੀਰ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਲਾਈਨਾਂ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਸਨ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਅਸੀਂ 3-4 ਐਲਬਮ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਜਨਤਾ ਨੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਪਸੰਦ ਕੀਤੇ ਹੈ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿਆਰ ਮਿਲਿਆ
But the song Mere Lusus Kar Deangni, which was sung by R.L. Badnaam, and it was written by Chan Singh Chan from Mosul, later he settled in Coventry, became a massive hit all of a sudden, and people from all over England started buying it. Not only from England, they smuggled it to India and Pakistan. People going back home.
Was it only in the 7-inch format you used?
Yeah, it was only 7-inch format to start with, but later